Hey guys, it's Mathel here, and today I've got a bit of a guide and a video demonstration of my crit staff sweep character, which utilizes an Abyssus and a few other goodies to make quite a strong build throughout the 1 month flashback league. This was the strongest build I do believe I played on the 1 month league, being able to handle all kinds of mods, including the weekends, which had all mods and smashed plenty of Beyond bosses as well as boxes and other such things. The goal of the character when I first started was to make a crit sweeper, and for me, staves made most sense while doing that. The other goal was to be able to put in an Abyssus in the current 2.0 expansion and gameplay, which I previously was unable to do since certain things changed. The use of things like Fortify on Leap Slam, a Taste of Hate, endurance charges, and some armor stacking, I've managed to put on an Abyssus and do it pretty comfortably. All of these maps you are seeing are in T10 plus gameplay, some 13, 14, etc. You can see it does get a bit sketchy. Some of the maps I do are still pretty damn hard, and the weekend is absolutely no joke. Zero runs for this character at this point are pretty much a joke, and it's no problem at all. You can see I don't utilize a single target attack aside from sweep, and I've found that I don't really need one, especially if you put conk effect in where increased AoE is for sweep. It ends up being quite a strong single target attack as well, which frees up a few other gem slots, meaning I only need to set up a leap slam for my curse on hit, my fortify, and a sweep attack. Everything else is left open. So to go over the gear, I'll start things off with the staff, which is a Hegemon's Error. It is a very strong, unique crit staff, which is basically the reason that going staffs for this build is pretty comfortable, as you already have a weapon locked in place. On the 1 month league, these cost about 3 exalts, and they vary from 450 to 500 DPS, and are basically your endgame weapon. Anything better is going to be pretty much a mirrored weapon and cost a shitload. It also has some pretty good block, and as well as that, it gives you a power charge when you knock an enemy back. I found that to be somewhat inconsistent, so I also have a Leap Slam with Curse on Hit and Assassin's Mark setup, which helps keep up my power charges pretty much all of the time. That's the weapon I chose to use, and it's pretty much recommended very highly if you're going to play the staff variant. As far as the chest goes, I started out with the Carcass Jack, but in the end I found the increased AoE just wasn't that great, and an Astral Plate was much more valuable and much easier to get in the 6-link form. Get 6 Celestial Justicar cards, make up your own Astral Plate, and Chaos spam it till you get something nice. This is the result of about 5x worth of currency to get the cards and the Chaos spammage. Pretty good, pretty cheap, and very strong defensively. The hero, the man of the hour, the Abyssus. Found this one myself, which is 41% fizz damage taken at 150% crit multi. It's a huge damage boost, and the reason I almost have to get it into the build is because there's really not that much crit multi to get on this side of the tree. There's still plenty to get if you go down this side, but over here you kinda end up just lacking, especially in the staff section. So an Abyssus is an absolutely huge damage boost, which you would not find anywhere else. And with the use of Fortify, Taste of Hate, I've managed to fit it into the build pretty well, and I think it's worth using at this level of gear. Still have 34% armor reduction and more once you get endurance charges rolling. As well as that, we do have a custom damage taken and Mortal Coil setup. So you end up being still fairly tanky even while wearing an Abyssus. You can of course not wear an Abyssus and go a Rat's Nest if you want. You will lose probably about 20,000 unbuffed and 40,000 buffed. My buff DPS is about 110,000. That's without any flasks or the Unholy Might. Jewel over here. Without the Abyssus, you'd be sitting at about 80,000. And that's fine, but I wanted that extra 30,000. What else we got? Combs boots. I basically need those for stun immunity because you do a lot of leaping, a lot of sweeping, and yeah, I think they're just fun. You don't really need movement speed because it's the sweep playstyle that you jump in and do some sweepage. If you decide to turn this build into Cyclone, you're going to need different boots. Everything else can pretty much stay the same. I also crafted them for 1 max frenzy, so that's pretty nice. Gloves, just some random ass gloves, life, attack speed, couple of resists. You could trade a resist up for some accuracy, because you're definitely going to need accuracy in this build, at least somewhere, which I have on my rings. Both my rings give a decent chunk of accuracy, 700 in total or so. As well as that, you're looking for some int and dex. Don't really need int anymore at this point, but dex is needed to be able to run your blood rage. So I had to get dex somewhere, if not the amulet, then the rings. Otherwise, life and accuracy are very important on your rings. The amulet, this one's kind of a big deal. Crit multi is what you're looking for first and foremost. High life. Wed won't really do too much, especially seeing as I'm only using Herald of Ash, so don't really bother going for Wed. And crit chance is nice too. If you can get some accuracy, that'd be great. If you get some fizz damage, that'd also be great. Pretty standard belt as well. You got your life, you got your resist. Not much else to say there. As far as your flask setup goes, Series Promise is really nice. It gives you some good chunk of DPS from both the Fizz and Ellie side, and a bit of useful leech, especially when you have an Holy Might up as well. But an Instant Life Flask for those oh shit situations, and a Taste of Hate is basically your Fizz reduction. If you can't afford a Taste of Hate, that's really not too big a deal. A good Granite Flask would do quite a lot of work as well, but this is basically a mini Life Flask, mini Lightning Coil, as well as a good damage boost, which will create shatters because I don't have a Herald of Ice or a Hatred. And the reason for that, I feel I can only afford to spend about 50% of my mana at the moment, because in some situations I will start running out of mana. Revelry does kind of fix that, as I only just took it recently, and 0.2% mana leech is all I have right now. I feel if you can get a bit more, then you should be pretty much okay to reserve 75% of your mana, but I still would like both of these, so the only thing I would probably add is Herald of Ice. Hatred just doesn't fit into the build unless you go Blood Magic, a Blood Magic gem, and I'll talk about why I didn't do that. So to go Blood Magic gem, that means you have to drop one of your gems here, and I find they're all too invaluable to lose. The last one that I would definitely drop, if you so choose, is Increased Crit Strikes. It's the weakest gems of the lot, but I really like having it because you don't have that much excuse me, you don't have that much crit on the build. You end up at about 80% with full power charges up, so you can imagine you won't always have full power charges, and it's just not that much for a crit build otherwise. If you take that out, see I've only got 46, the power charges sitting about 60, 65, and the idea of the Abyssus is to get your crit high and consistent, so you kill things well before they kill you. So trading in for Blood Magic just doesn't seem worth it for me, and it also makes your sweep take life off of you, which is pretty brutal. Ends up costing about 100 a swing, but it is a lot more comfortable for certain things and playstyles. The percent mana, though, from the jewel seems to sustain me pretty damn well, and Revelry helps out a lot too. There's not much else to say. As far as the passive tree goes, you just grab a whole bunch of crit and a whole bunch of life. You stick to the Duelist, the Templar, and the Marauder sides, grab the staff nodes. Jewels are really good, they give you a lot of damage, and your priority on jewels is something like crit multi, crit, melee damage, fizz, and life as well. So I do have a couple of decent jewels. That one's okay for life. This one is a pretty big deal for melee damage. Things like this will fill out a lot of your damage if you can get your hands on them, and they're not very expensive because they don't seem to be in a terribly high demand. As well as that, Malicious Intent gives you Unholy Might, which is a huge DPS boost, but it won't always be up. It's up to you if you want to use it or not. One other thing, I did try out Blood Magic and Mortal Conviction. The problem is, I really feel like you need Arctic armor for the Abyssus variant here, so it just kind of doesn't make sense to go Blood Magic in the end, because you're losing a Herald of Ash at the very least if you still want to use Arctic armor, and Arctic armor will take away the bonus life that you get from taking Mortal Conviction anyway, so in the end you're not really gaining too much, you're just more or less losing a bit of DPS from Herald of Ash, because we can survive on mana, so we may as well survive on mana. It's just a bit uncomfortable at times. So that's it for the character. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye guys.